When you think of the Kappa, what comes to mind? Perhaps green skin, a dish on its head, and this, the cucumber. A yokai so obsessed with cucumbers, it lent its name to the cucumber sushi roll. It's a piece of common knowledge you can find in almost any restaurant in Japan. The friendliest, most well-known fact about the Kappa. But have you ever stopped to wonder, why a cucumber? Of all the vegetables in the world, why this one? Here is the first secret you might not have known. It wasn't its favorite food. It was an offering, a tribute. We give gifts to friends, but we give offerings to beings we fear. It was a desperate bribe in exchange for our safety. This single, fresh cucumber was in fact a remnant of the most ancient faith, an offering to the Suijin, the water god. It was a desperate prayer. Please accept this humble offering, and this year, spare our children. This is the bizarre duality of the Kappa. Behind the face of the friendly mascot lies the face of a terrifying, fickle river god who demanded the price of a child's life. Tonight, we will calmly peel back the layers of fear and prayer hidden inside this single piece of cucumber. The secret of fear and prayer hidden in the cucumber. But the yokai known as the Kappa is not so simple that we can understand it with a cucumber alone. The story of the Kappa is, from beginning to end, filled with profound contradiction. One story describes the Kappa as a terrible predator that drags children into the water. And yet, in the very next story, when a human offers it a polite bow, the Kappa feels compelled to return the gesture, spilling the life-giving water from its head, and collapsing, portrayed as an almost foolish gentleman. It possesses the supernatural strength to drown a fully grown horse. And yet, at the same time, it was known to randomly challenge travelers to a match of sumo. A troublemaker, obsessed with winning. A murderer or a gentleman. A monster or a troublemaker. In some regions, it was even worshipped as a benevolent god who taught humans the art of setting broken bones. All of this contradiction is because the Kappa is, perhaps, a mirror, reflecting the water itself. Water is grace, giving life to the rice fields and supporting civilization. And water is disaster, the most perfect, unpredictable force that swallows everything without warning. Tonight, we follow this strange river child, and calmly, piece by piece, we will assemble these fragments of contradiction. First, we will delve into the secret of the Kappa's most bizarre obsession. We will trace the tragic human sorrow hidden behind this yokai's name. And finally, we will explore the strange rules for taming this fear, and how this monster eventually became a god. This is not a story about a Kappa. This is a story about us, about human beings who had to coexist with a nature that was both beautiful and deadly. Our first journey is to face the darkest and most bizarre essence of the Kappa as a predator, and the secret of its strange obsession. The Kappa, its name means river child, and yet it preys on the human children who come to the river. This was the Kappa's first contradiction. Of course, there was a very practical reason for this. In an age without television or internet, the river in front of the village was the children's only playground, and at the same time, the most dangerous, unknown place. A shallow pool of water could suddenly give way to a deep, dark abyss. In the very same spot where we place a danger sign today, the people of old placed a story. The story of the Kappa. It was a far more instinctive, far more powerful narrative. The most effective safety line a parent could give a child. If you go there, the Kappa will get you. But the Kappa did not only prey on the careless. At times, it challenged the strongest. Imagine it. A farmer, drenched in sweat on a summer day, leads his most valuable possession, his horse, to the river to drink. That massive, muscular animal, in a single instant, is seized by something unseen, screaming as it is dragged to the riverbed. To snatch a child is cowardice, but to drown a horse is a demonstration of supernatural power. This was a clear warning to the humans living by the river. This is not your land. This water is my domain. It was a declaration of territory. But here is the second secret you might not have known. The Kappa's true terror was not its strength. It was its purpose. The Kappa did not hunt because it was hungry. It did not hunt for revenge. It was collecting. According to legend, the Kappa's sole purpose was the Shiriko-dama, literally the anus ball, a mythical organ believed to exist deep inside the human body, near the anus, or perhaps the very essence of the human soul. It's said the Kappa hunts humans to acquire this Shiriko-dama. Some legends say the Kappa eats it, others that it gathers them as offerings for the Dragon King, the god of the sea. But no one could ever explain what it truly was. But this bizarre, almost surreal story, where could it have come from? Here lies the third secret you might not have known. This grotesque myth may, perhaps, be rooted in the saddest, most clinical observation of death. The people of old, who did not have our scientific knowledge, would have witnessed death very closely, especially the bodies of those who had drowned, and they would have seen that at the moment of death, as all muscles release their final breath, the human anus relaxes and opens. To them, this phenomenon was not a simple biological process. It would have looked as though something had been pulled out, or something had been stolen from within. The soul must have escaped from there. The Shiriko-dama was a sad human effort to attach a narrative to the phenomenon of an incomprehensible death. He didn't just drown. The river god harvested his soul. It was a way to accept a hollow, accidental death as a mythical harvest. In this way, the Kappa was not just a simple monster. It became a strange interpreter who witnessed the final moments of death and explained its meaning. But the reason the Kappa targeted children, behind that, was a secret, deeper and more human than this sad observation. A very dark secret, that the Kappa was an interpreter of death, and that the Shiriko-dama was a sad human observation to understand it. This alone makes the Kappa's myth deep and heavy. But we still have not answered the most fundamental question. Why did the Kappa so persistently target children? The warning we called a safety line. The observation we called the Shiriko-dama. Beyond all of this lies a darker, more human secret. Fourth secret you might not have known is not a story about a yokai. It is hidden in the saddest page of human history. Mabiki. Originally, this was an agricultural term. It means to thin out. When seedlings in a rice bed grow too densely, it is the act of thinning out the weaker sprouts so the stronger ones can grow. The tragedy began when the farmers of Japan started to use this word for their children. The Edo period. We often imagine magnificent castles and valiant samurai. But the lives of the farmers beneath that surface were unimaginably harsh. Endless famine and crushing taxes that took more than half of their harvest. For a new family member to arrive was not a joy. It meant one more mouth to feed, and it meant one more person to be taxed. They were at a terrible crossroads. Would they all starve to death, or would they thin out the sprouts? To cover a newborn's mouth with wet paper, or to release it into the cold river. Mabiki. It was an act of infanticide, so horrific we can barely imagine it. And at the same time, it was the most desperate means of survival for the rest of the family. So then, this terrible act, how could they explain it to their neighbors and to themselves? Could they say, "I have killed my child"? No, they said, the Kappa took him. This is the darkest and saddest hypothesis that folklorists propose. That the Kappa was a social necessity, created to conceal the most terrible tragedies of human society and to ease its guilt. A fictional culprit, a perfect alibi. The countless stories of the Kappa preying on children may be the most brutal reflection of the harsh reality of children disappearing by the riverside. Sometimes, a yokai is created to carry the weight of human sins. In this way, the Kappa became an interpreter of death and a concealer of human wrongdoing. But the story of the Kappa does not end in this darkness. Strangely, humans also tried to tame this being of terror, the very creature they had burdened with their own guilt, and even to worship it. Fear and concealment. If the Kappa carried such a heavy human secret, why did the people of Japan not attempt to exterminate it, to erase it? In Western myth, heroes symbolizing order often slay monsters symbolizing chaos. But here, the story chose a different path. The Japanese people did not try to destroy this being of fear. They tried to tame it. Like calming a wild horse, they sought to understand its nature, to place rules around it, and to live beside it. This is the fifth secret you might not have known: the taming of the Kappa. The first rule is the cucumber we met at the beginning. It was never just food. It was an offering, but a quiet bribe. Why a cucumber? Why not rice or sake? The answer lies deep within old beliefs. Long before the Kappa existed in stories, farmers worshipped Suijin, the god of water. The first cucumber of summer was the most common gift offered to this deity. Fresh, filled with water, it symbolized abundance. Over time, the formless devotion toward the water god and the concrete image of the Kappa slowly merged. Offering a cucumber to a Kappa became the continuation of an ancient prayer. Master of this river, take this gift and calm your anger. The second rule is far stranger and deeply human. It is politeness. Many legends say this. If you meet a Kappa by the river, do not run, bow to it. The Kappa, startled, will return the bow with equal sincerity. And in that moment, the water held in the dish on its head spills. That water is its strength, its bond with the river. Without it, the Kappa collapses. On the surface, it seems like a joke, but beneath it lies a symbol: order overcoming chaos. Nature, unpredictable and wild, is subdued by a simple human custom: a bow, wisdom triumphing over terror. And at the highest point of this order, we find the third rule: sumo. For reasons lost to time, Kappa often challenge humans to a match. This is not mere combat. It is a game with rules. A contest inside a defined circle, where humans pull the overwhelming force of nature into their own arena. And often, in these stories, the human wins. The Kappa may surrender an arm as a sign of defeat, or sign a contract promising never to harm the village again. If the cucumber was a gesture of submission, and the bow a test of wisdom, sumo became a pact between equals. Through the Kappa, people learned to soothe their fears, negotiate with nature, and finally coexist with it. This pathway toward coexistence eventually raised the Kappa from the rank of monster to the realm of the divine. Fear can be quieted with offerings. Chaos can be shaped by rituals and rules. But worship belongs to something deeper, awe. And here lies the most surprising twist in the Kappa's long story. In some places, the Kappa became a god. Its strangest power was not destruction, but healing. Many tales describe the Kappa as a skilled physician who taught people how to set broken bones. How could the same creature that ripped arms from humans in sumo teach them how to mend their injuries? Again, the answer is a contract. The Kappa, having lost its own arm, would share its healing arts in exchange for its return. From this came a picture of tamed nature giving wisdom back to humanity. Nature can break us like a flood, but our ability to heal, to learn, and to build, all of it ultimately comes from nature as well. That truth is quietly preserved in the Kappa's story. And so, healing and coexistence lifted the Kappa from yokai to kami. Across Japan, especially where water was scarce or floods were constant, shrines still honor the Kappa as Suijin, the water god. This is the Kappa's final contradiction. The cucumber was both a bribe of fear and a prayer for abundance. The Kappa was both the disaster of the river and its guardian spirit, destruction and grace, wrapped into one being. Fear, concealment, wisdom, contract, worship. Through centuries, the Kappa carried every human feeling toward nature. But what happens when the nature that shaped all this begins to disappear? Today, rivers run straight inside concrete walls. Floods are tamed by dams. Fear has faded, so has awe. And the Kappa stands before us, in its final form, an icon. It was once a predator of children, once an excuse for human sins, once a monster defeated by cleverness, once a god who received prayers. Where have all those faces gone? How can a creature born of terror now appear so innocent, even cute? The Kappa did not change. The river changed. We changed. When we conquered the water, we no longer needed the Kappa. The cucumber became just another ingredient in a sushi roll. And the Kappa's final taming was not a contract or a ritual, but forgetting. Today, Kappa is nostalgia. A faint memory of a world where humans once bargained with nature. A reminder that we once feared it, respected it, and lived alongside it. In the end, the Kappa was a mirror. It reflected our fears, our sins, our wisdom, and our awe. And now it reflects us, standing in a modern world that has forgotten all of it. Our story ends here for tonight, but perhaps the Kappa has not vanished. Perhaps it waits beneath the silent concrete riverbeds, patiently watching for the day the waters reclaim their wildness once more.